All right, we are now recording, so you can start your meeting.
Good morning. This is the November 15th, 2024 Educational Optimization Committee meeting. It is 8:18 a.m. Following the agenda, item 1 is a call to order, and there is a quorum because both Chad and I are participating. And we'll go to agenda 2, which is the approval of our minutes from last week. Quite a short meeting, but Chad, do you have any questions about the meeting?
I don't.
Minutes. I do not either. So can I have a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
I second it. Do we have a vote to approve them? I say yes. Chad, you say yes? They are approved. Agenda item number 3 is a debrief of our special meeting with Colliers. Quite a long meeting, pretty in depth. How do you want to proceed? Do you want to proceed right to sort of a couple key issues on the summary statement and just see how we schedule those, fund those, things like that? Or do you want to relitigate the whole meeting?
Well, what I would say is I want to talk about what we think needs to be put on the Board of Education agenda on Monday night that I think, in my eyes, we reached consensus on Monday, which is to put on Monday's agenda, and Monday there, is a really full agenda, just putting that out there, but we're kind of being mindful of moving things forward. And what I would respectfully suggest as the recommendation that I heard out of Monday's meeting, and if it's premature, then it would be voted down, but to vote and discuss for Colliers leaders to solicit a proposal, remember that's a free proposal, for a licensed structural engineer to confirm the structural viability of the middle school for renovation. I think that point was made. I know there was a concern about what is the cost and this and that, but if we word it such that we are only soliciting a proposal, the cost is free. And I think that would be an appropriate item to put on Monday's agenda to at least, to me, it seems because it's free, we should, in lieu of the fact that it could take 6 to 8 weeks in even getting that proposal done. How does the subcommittee feel about putting that vote to solicit a proposal on the agenda on Monday?
So I don't know if Steve caught it. So this would be to heed Collier's advice to put out a RFP for.
Steve, you're muted. Steve, you're muted.
Let me repeat it again.
Yeah.
Okay, let me repeat it. To discuss and vote, and then a vote for Colliers leaders to solicit a proposal, which is free, for a licensed structural engineer to confirm the structural viability of the middle school for renovation.
No, you and I spoke about this. I think this is the natural next step that we discussed on Monday, to continue to move this project forward, most importantly, to determine the status of that building.
So, Chad, how do you feel about that? I think I saw you shake your head yes.
I think it seems totally sensible.
I was just gonna that standalone is fine, and I was just gonna ask, do you think you want to extend it to Hurlbut also, just so we have 2 done and we know we're both in, or just only focus on the middle school?
No, that's gonna because that will just open up a whole new avenue of conversation.
Okay.
I mean, in my opinion, I just think that.
Right. I mean, it will defocus the effort, so I'm fine with that response.
Yeah.
And do you want to also ask not only for renovation, but for the degrees of retrofit or repairs that Mike and Phil and Colliers enunciated? Because you may not be able to repair it to that extent. It may not be able to withstand people, on ceiling tops and things like that doing ductwork. I don't know if you want to also include repairs.
Well,
we already have the quote on repairs. I think that muddies the water. I think that we have to first determine, is this building structurally viable? And then the decision's going to have to be made Do we repair? Do we renovate as new, if that's the option, or do we build as new? I mean, that's been talked about a lot, but I think that that's kind of muddying the waters.
I'm also fine with that response. I'm just being complete, right? I'm just covering any thinking that could be wrapped around that statement and anticipating these questions. So do we need to agree on that? Is that something that we, as a committee, we need to say yes, or is it just you're fine with it, we're fine with it, and it'll be included in the agenda? Right, Jody?
I don't know.
We just write that as an agenda item?
Yeah. Yeah, you're just having your discussion here. We're just going to include that as an agenda item on the November 18th board meeting.
Okay. And a question that could come up, it's free as a proposal, and then you get a quote, and then there's a systematic way of bringing that capability in-house, right, Phil?
Correct.
One thing I want to draw attention to, and I can certainly share this with the board, is that on the middle school building project link on the website is the spreadsheet or the summary of the spreadsheet that, along with Collier's report and everything else, that he shared. You know, when he shared it, I kind of cringed because you can't share things that hasn't been posted, but it's been posted now. So I want people to know that. And we can certainly get that news out and make sure that everybody knows that this is where it is. You can look at it, all of that. The one thing I think that may come up is, to Peter's point, is so the next step is to solicit this proposal. And then simultaneously, as we're waiting for the proposal, I don't know what, based on their summary, is the next level of work. The other thing that the board has to vote on is to confirm the desired grade configuration of 4 schools. I don't know if we're there yet. I don't know if we wait to do that in December after they digest the enrollment presentation on Monday.
Hey, Peter, I think, or whoever has a lot of background sound, can you put yourself on mute, or it sounds like there's lawn mowing, something like that? Awesome. Thanks, Peter. Thank you. Lisa, can you just finish the end of your point again?
You know, I think that I want to be careful. You know, I keep thinking about how they say slow bake. Sometimes perhaps part of what I haven't done is been as explicit, or we think people understand something and they need more time to process what they need more time to process it. So we were very clear on Monday that we believe 4 schools and this grade configuration from an educational model is what the administrative team recommends. We know that we need this study now, or this thing about the middle school, to find out if it's structurally viable. We also, and Collier said, that the board has to set to confirm the desired grade configuration, right? So to say, yes, we as a board agree that it's 4 schools and these grade configurations. I don't know if we then, if we're looking to keep the project forward, I don't know if we do that in December after people digest the enrollment projections. Do we put that vote to it? I don't know. But that also is another step.
I'm sorry, say that again?
Collier's was very clear that it's the Board of Education that votes to determine. Now, whatever happens afterwards, the public votes, whatever, determines the grade and school configuration. He said
Right.
That is their responsibility, not the town's. So I am proposing, do we have the enrollment presentation on Monday, which is a lot?
Yep.
And then in December, is that the appropriate time for the board to vote on that configuration and to give them a heads up on that come December, the board has to make a decision on that.
Right,
If they
so,
still can't, then we're gonna have to keep postponing it, but
no. So step by step. So on Monday, this coming Monday, we'll discuss the enrollment projections. In the interim, between Monday and December, probably our December meeting, hopefully the Board of Finance will come back with their completion of their work in terms of what, of their view of the town's financing capabilities. Now, it's my understanding they're not going to say we only have X millions of dollars that the town, that they think the town can assume in bonding. Rather, they're going to say, if we were to bond $50 million, this is the impact on your taxes, 60, 70, 80. I don't know the gradations, but it will then come back to us and the town, because they have their own capital needs, to determine what we're going to recommend. But I think the right step is to see what the enrollment numbers look like, whatever the Board of Finance is going to deliver, and how they deliver it, and then frankly what Collier's engineer is going to say about the building, because we could say in December, yeah, we want to do this, and the Collier's consultant could come in and say, well, you can't do that because of what they may or may not find. I think this is more of a January, assuming the consultant comes in, which is why they said to us on Monday, that it's unlikely we get, let's assume we want to build a new school, we get before we do any type of grant submissions before June of 2026.
That's fine to wait. All I'm pointing out is then you're waiting to say, do you want 3 schools or do you want 4 schools? That's the question on the next step.
That's
And
right.
if you need to know all of the options and determine what you're going to do, then you wait. If you think educationally that the best thing is to maintain 4 schools, renovate, redo, whatever, that's up to you. We've made it clear that we think there should be 4 schools, so you can postpone that vote till January.
Well, yes, we've made it clear that we want 4 schools, and I still think that's the optimal configuration. We just don't know what we're going to do with the middle school in terms of renovate as new, a brand new school. And I think that's Collier's recommendation, is to get a better idea of the status of the, of the building.
And that's fine, but remember, his next step is confirm the Board of Ed what your grade configuration should look like. That's not taking into consideration states of the buildings. So whenever you want to do that, that's what he sees as number one.
I'm sorry, I misunderstood you. This is like the jigsaw puzzle that never comes together.
That's exactly right. It's like an endless chicken and the egg. It's like
Yeah,
it's
my
snake.
God.
My recommendation is put it to a vote in December. If it fails, then you keep it moving, but we will lose momentum if we keep waiting. I mean, the board at some point has to say, this is what we need, 4 schools. How we get there or maintain them or whatever.
Got it. Because what we haven't said, and what people in the town don't understand is that if the decision is to close the middle school, those 500 and some odd children have to go somewhere. And there isn't an encapsulated building for them to go into. And so they're going to have to be assimilated into the other 3 buildings. And there is a cost associated with that. There's not only a capital cost.
There's an educational price to it. We made it very clear, that if you're looking just at the educational experience, and that's what Colliers was saying, you have to basically decide is, we need 4 schools. If you don't believe we don't need 4 schools, then you need to come out and say it one way or the other.
Yeah, but so the recommendation is to have 4 schools.
Yes.
the thought that we could take these 500 children and put them into the existing 3 schools, one of which is 75 years old, without significant capital costs and significant disruption, because something is going to have to be built. It just doesn't make any sense. But, that could be the ultimate decision. Hopefully it's not. But I agree, Lisa, we need to say, yes, we want 4 schools, we want grades configured in this fashion, which calls for 4 schools. And we may find ourselves in January, whenever the Colliers consultant finishes their work, saying, okay, but this is what you have to do to the middle school, or can't do to
Push
the
that.
middle school to push that. That's fine.
Well, we know what we can do. If we pay $50 million, we can continue the status quo.
No, but
So-
that's not right. No. I mean,
No,
if you
it's
look
not
at,
right, but I'm saying, we already
No, but-
know how they can fix the middle school to keep it going.
but what we didn't talk about were the capital expenditures that Colliers put forth. And almost every one of them was non-education, Phil. I mean, they were boilers and,
Yeah.
there was nothing in the classroom. It was basically making sure the buildings, to their point, are warm. And, it was very little in terms of improving bathrooms and lockers and, and whatever. And they need, they need to be addressed. So their number, I think, is a conservative number.
So I'm going to try to sneak this in because I do have the guys working on the property today. We have I think it's December 15th or 16th is our next public Board of Ed meeting, right? Monday night the 16th. I think that's the meeting, as Lisa suggested, we should put the stake in the ground for the grade configuration that's been recommended. And then the chips fall where they fall, right? Because I don't know if we'll have numbers from the Board of Finance, some curve that we can pick, points along that are tax burden versus how much money we need versus the building improvements. And we certainly won't have any structural information on the middle school. But, that's what we want. That's our grade configuration, and we'll have to make adjustments around that. That drives the decision making in part.
Yeah, from this board, yes. That doesn't mean that we'll have 4 schools. There's a lot of long work to be done, but at least.
Well, that's the recommendation in the aspirational campus, and then we have to see what needs to be repaired. We'll see if things can be renovated. We don't know. That's part A of today's meeting, and what the educational specs could be to improve the educational optimization of 4 buildings. We haven't gotten down that path outside of Dan's work for the middle school. So I'd like to see a vote on December 16th on the administration's recommendations, and at least have that our stake in the ground, and then we'll go from there.
But I would suggest when we talk about the discussion about, the motion to get the bid, at that time, I think one of you needs to say, I don't know if it's you as the chair of the EOC or Steve needs to say, in December, listen carefully to the enrollments, review everything, because in December, we're going to put forward we are going to vote to confirm what we believe is the appropriate grade configuration. So people know. I don't want to surprise people in December.
Yeah, I completely agree, Lisa. In fact, I think if there's a channel to do that, we should say, everyone, this vote is happening in December. So come December, don't say like, oh my God, this is going so fast. What are we going to do? I need to digest this information. And I don't know if we can alert people via email, or to your point, Lisa, we say at the next meeting, but you're absolutely right. I think any votes we can take to move things along would be good. And we should let people know they have plenty of time to review just that one aspect, which is the number of schools configuration.
So pre-announce it that on Monday night, that a month from Monday night, that this motion will be introduced and voted on. I like that if it follows process properly. To Chad's point, it gives people a month to think about it and to ask questions or comment or whatever means they want to learn more about. And then on December 16th, we have a motion and take a board vote on that. And then in January, hopefully we get a structural engineer or other capabilities in-house and they tell us what's available to us so we don't operate so much in the blind about the middle school structure. Sound like a plan?
How do you want to communicate that to our Board of Ed colleagues ahead of time? Jody, when does the email go out with the final board book stuff?
For for Monday's meeting,
Yeah.
I'm going to send it out this afternoon.
All
As
right,
soon as I
perhaps-
get the consent agenda, I'm going to send it to the board.
Okay, perhaps before you do that, I'll put it in my draft thing, then I write a paragraph above to just kind of outline a couple of points for
Sure.
informational purposes only. Does that sound okay, everyone on this call?
Mm-hmm.
Like, because I don't want people, oh, we can't do it, it locks us in, it doesn't lock you into anything. It just puts us in a direction.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing I wanted to ask is, what about Colliers? And I know there's some questions about the cost of Colliers and future costs of Colliers. And what about that? Because I think everyone saw their value added on Monday night.
Absolutely.
Is this the forum to discuss these things? Is it the next meeting, finance, or is it the full board meeting to talk about our history of Colliers and our expectations moving forward with them? What forum is best, Phil, in your opinion?
I think it's going to cross, but I think this is the forum because of the EOC and the bill and the relation with the bill. Then this is probably the best forum to start that discussion.
Well, so far we've spent $10,000. Is that the number?
That's correct.
Well, I think everyone would concur that we've certainly got our money's worth.
And it's important, and I want it in the record because I know this was raised. There was a question about, in the spring, when someone asked how much Colliers have been paid, and the response by one of you was nothing. That was true. We were engaging in conversations at that point. The bill, if you will, started in the summer when we realized we needed their expertise to review everything we did. And that's when the administrative team in Colliers started working closely. And that was the cost at that point that began. But now I think we put a pin in it, and you have to, have that discussion about continuing that work.
So that would be on our, again, we're preempting and pre-announcing. That should be a EOC, because we can go to agenda item number 3, which is our agenda for our next meeting, December 20th. That could be one of the agenda items where we talk about our next engagement with Colliers, and Phil can sort of price that out for us. But the money spent was budgeted in our fiscal year 25 budget. It's established, and we can make that an agenda item for next time, right? What we think we want to use, how we want to use them moving forward. Is that okay? Right? For our next EOC meeting, that could be an agenda item. And then unfortunately, we won't have a full board meeting if that needs to be discussed until January, but we'll discuss it here. But that's fine. It will be in a public forum.
Phil, are there any other votes or work we need to do about our continuation with Colliers?
No, I think the first one is the most important one.
What do you mean by the first one? I'm
One that
sorry.
we're discussing now. And that is to get the structural,
Okay,
the structural
okay.
engineer.
Okay. But then at a future board meeting, we may have to bring that up again, their cost, correct?
I don't know. I mean, this entire project, the building project, is going to cost some money.
Absolutely.
And we I don't know if we need to discuss that it's going to be what the total cost will be. We have no idea what the total cost is going to be for Colliers, because Colliers, being the owner's rep, is going to technically support us for the life of this project, pretty much until we say so. So each time, as long as they continue to support us, there's going to be a cost associated with Colliers.
Okay.
Exactly. And then you account for that in essence in our next hour's meeting, saying this month, here's how I'm following the budget, right? There's either
Okay.
a surplus or a deficit, but that's an expense that could be accounted for. So that's fine. It's like a 1-2.
Well, Lisa, I believe I know you had said earlier that that Westport has them on retainer.
Yeah, I believe that's what Tom Screese told me, yeah.
Yeah, I'd be curious, the next time you talk to Tom, what that entails and what what they receive for that. Because they have, they have one serious project going on. And I read that they're about to take on another, Long Lots being the school they're building, and Coleytown Elementary, from what I read, looks like it's going into some form of major capital expenditures. And we're not too distant from that between the middle school and what Hurlbut will need over time. So I'd be curious, how Westport has engaged Colliers on an ongoing basis, because this will be an ongoing, a commensurate ongoing type situation here in Weston. Maybe less expensive than just doing it on a one-off basis.
Phil, can you call the finance person down there and find out as well?
I can, but yes, I can as well. But I think you also need to have a conversation with Tom.
Yeah, no, I know. I've reached out to him. I think there's a lot going on over there. I haven't heard back from him on something else.
I think what I'll do, I'll reach out to their facilities director, because I know he works very closely with Colliers.
Okay.
And I'll have a conversation from that perspective.
Yeah, and then Mike, you need to be actively engaged in this as well, because this is, we're talking like you're not part of this conversation. I mean, this is going to take up a lot of your time.
Yeah, I agree. I'm available.
Okay, so we've discussed agenda item number 4. And just to summarize, we have an upcoming meeting December 20th. For that meeting, we anticipate several things in hand. One is a response to an RFP for structural analysis of Weston Middle School, at least a response, right? A free response. 2, we'll have a vote under our belt from a motion that will be in the December Public Board of Education meeting about building and grade configurations. We'll have the enrollment numbers in hand. And I'm not quite sure if we'll have the Board of Finance master sort of curve with all the expenses and with a lack of a cap for moving forward for the town of Weston and the school district. I don't know when their next meeting is and if they've committed to having that available to us, but let's assume they do. We can cover a lot of ground that December 20th meeting. Did I capture everything correctly?
Yeah.
Okay, that's a good step for a Friday morning. I think that's it. So again, thank you for everyone's participation and input. And
just one more thing, Lisa, I just want to compliment you for for discovering Colliers, making sure we engage them. I think there's just general consensus, not only from people on this board, but people I've spoken to, since that meeting on Monday, in the public who listened to it, who thought they made a just a great presentation. It gave you a lot of confidence that they're fully aware of the history, that's led to the recommendation so far. But, thanks for doing that.
Yeah, I mean, I knew as the first time I spoke to them that they're really top notch, and they cut through and make it a clear path. And the
Certainly they
best
do.
part is they're owners reps. They're not, working to get a whatever kind of architectural firm bid, or you know what I mean. They say it like it is, and I think that both Mike and Phil, you've enjoyed working with them, correct?
Yeah, they're great. They definitely have 100% our interest in mind. So very confident going forward with them.
Yeah, it's important that you're comfortable, with whomever we engage.
Well, on that note, I agree. I think they have 50 projects under their belt. So the state of Connecticut school districts seem pretty satisfied with their work, because they seem to cover it pretty well and have intimate knowledge about every brick, it seems, in every building in every school district in Connecticut. On that note, I have a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Second,
Second.
do we have a vote? I say aye.
Thank you.
Aye and
Thank
aye. We're good for adjournment. Thank you today.
Thank you.
Everyone.
Bye-bye.
Thank
I
you.
know.